Now we'll go to something we're much more comfortable with. We'll start with item number 14, Downtown East Block 1 development rights. Mr. Lind, welcome.
Yes, thank you. My name is Bob Lind. I'm part of the senior management team at CPED. And item number 14 before you is staff's recommendation that we designate the Ryan Companies as the developer for the Block 1 project in downtown Minneapolis here. Now, this process all started back in very early in January when the city put out an RFP for the development of Block 1, which is the liner parcel and the air rights plane above the ramp that will be built on Block 1. We sent this notification for this RFP out to our developers list, which is a list of about 800 plus developers. These are both local and national developers. We also did something a little different. We also held a pre-proposal conference call to try to accommodate some of the out-of-town developers in the sense of giving them the chance to call in and talk with staff and others about questions they might have or just some clarification of the RFP and so forth. We found that to be very successful and very helpful. I guess it's kind of funny to find out that developers typically don't want to fly into Minneapolis in the middle of January for an RFP and so forth. So the pre-conference call definitely worked well. The city, from that process, from the 800 plus developers that were sent the RFP and the pre-conference call, we did get two proposals. We got a proposal from the Mortensen Development Company. Mortensen was proposing to build a 300 hotel on the site in two different buildings, 150-room AC Marriott and 150-room Spring Hills Marriott Hotel. The other proposal was from the Ryan Companies. Ryan Companies was proposing to build a 150-room Radisson Red Hotel, basically 10 stories of a hotel, and then on top of the hotel, a 17-story, 200-unit apartment tower atop of the hotel. As we were, developing and working with these two developers, we gave each of them the opportunity to come back, and we had a number of questions, additional information that was needed, but they both had the opportunity to work with staff to try to refine and clarify their proposals over the course of the month of January. The timing issue in the case of this project, moving forward, we have a parking ramp that's being built by Ryan Companies as well. In order to accommodate the hotel or hotel plus an apartment complex, it would require obviously some modifications to that parking ramp. So the timing was important in the sense of designating a developer so that whatever would be built atop of the parking ramp, that the various modifications and structural changes could be designed into the work for the parking ramp itself, which has a construction start, which would be this fall or fourth quarter of 2014. And in order to accommodate that construction start in the parking ramp, that design work and those modifications need to occur, of course, over the spring and the summer here of 2014. We had a review team that was put together, and I want to, first of all, thank the review team for putting the time into doing this. We met at least 4 times, but we had a review team made up of city CPED staff, as well as staff from the finance department, as well as city attorney office, as well as some staff from city council members who also participated in the review team. The review team, as I mentioned, met a number of times, and as we went through the process of looking at the two proposals, looking at the hotel by Mortensen and the hotel plus the apartment tower by the Ryan Companies, and going through questions, additional information, the consensus came at the end that the proposal that best met the objectives that the city wanted to meet was the Ryan Companies proposal of the hotel plus the apartment tower atop the hotel. The combination of the hotel and the apartment tower really kind of met as far as giving us the maximum development on the site. Staff was concerned about making sure that there was activity on a 24/7 type basis, making sure that there were eyes on the park and so forth. And this combination proposal tended to do that more than just a single hotel project by itself. Second, when you look at the two proposals, there was a vast difference in the upfront price that would be paid for the liner parcel and the air rights. Mortensen had bid a price in of roughly about $1 million, whereas the Ryan companies had put a price in of $5.6 million. Also, they were also going to lock in that in the sense that they were going to guarantee that the amount of those ramp modifications would be no more than $2 million against the gross purchase price to the city, thereby giving the city more assurances that the net price would be the $5.6 million. Finance staff also went through an analysis of what would these two projects generate as far as city lodging taxes, city entertainment taxes, city property taxes, park dedication fees, building permit fees, and in looking at the two proposals and doing a present value calculation of the two proposals over in a period of time, in this case 25 years, the Ryan Company's proposal was almost $5 million more as far as a present value calculation over a 25-year period of time. Now, the Ryan proposal itself is going to generate roughly about $876,000 in one-time upfront park dedication and building permit fees. And then on an annual basis, the Ryan proposal will generate roughly $1.2 million in city taxes, of which roughly about $800,000 would be city property taxes, another $207,000 in city lodging taxes, and then another $237,000 in annual city entertainment taxes for the Ryan proposal. The next steps in this process, once a designation of a developer for the project, would be that we obviously need to finish the design work on the parking ramp itself, those modifications, in order to have construction start on the ramp in the fourth quarter of 2014. Once the ramp is substantially completed in the fall or the fourth quarter of 2015, then the construction can start on the hotel and the apartment complex and so forth. So it's kind of a staging of the construction and so forth. Staff at this time in the report is also asking authorization to put together the term sheet, if you will, for the redevelopment contract that would be between the city and the developer. We would then come back to the city council in the next few months with the terms of that land sale for the project once we hammer out the term sheet and so forth and the redevelopment contract. So that would be something we'd come back to the city council with. I should mention, on a personal note, I was just kind of thinking about this over the weekend. On a personal note, I was working for the city of Minneapolis when the original Metrodome was built back in the early 1980s, and you stay around here long enough and you see something come full circle and so forth. But one thing that's really different this time is that is kind of the encouraging to see is that this time there really is some spin-off development that is occurring as a part of the stadium construction. So that's one thing that I see that's different from this time around versus the first time the stadium was built. So with that, staff would stand for any questions. We also have representatives here today from the Ryan Company, should you have any questions of them as well. So,
are there any questions for Mr. Lind on his report? Mr. Carpenter is here too if there are questions for finance.
Comment.
Okay. Seeing none, Councilmember Frye.
I just wanted to voice my support for the staff recommendation here. The rule of thumb in this particular scenario, I think, is more is better. And in this case, we have more eyes on the park with 150 hotel units and 200 residential units, and we have more money to the city. So I appreciate your time. And I also, Mr. Lynn, appreciate your time of doing outreach to the community, taking time away from your whatever it is that you do during the evenings, which I've seen you do on several occasions. So thank you for that. I think this is a phenomenal project that will add a great deal to the community.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
I should have mentioned we went to the Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Association as well as the Mill District Neighborhood Association 3 times in the past I guess, month and a half, just to keep updating them on the process through the RFP as well as the review work of the staff and so forth. So.
Great, thank you, Mr. Lind. I will move approval of the staff recommendation, and I also have staff direction to amend the report, so I'll just read that staff direction out loud. Goodman moves to amend the report by adding the following recommendation. Although Section 422.190 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances does not apply to this proposed project because the city will not retain a proprietary interest in the project, the city strongly encourages Ryan Company's hotel operator to negotiate a labor peace agreement with the applicable labor organizations in the spirit of Section 422.190. So I'm just noting that we do not want to have a labor dispute on a property or a project of this magnitude with this much attention and certainly with this amount of public subsidy immediately next door. And we know our friends at Ryan don't want that either. And they have been apprised of this language and have not indicated any objection to it. So I just want to note that's the spirit in which I'm bringing this forward. Further comments or questions on the staff recommendation with the chair's amendment? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That
Thank you.
item is approved. Thank you, Mr. Lind.